Was this Fantastic Four fantastic, or was it a trank? Find out what we think in just a minute. If I can find the right buttons. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Marvel Talk. We are here, of course, with our host, the Empress of our local establishment, and of course, of the Marvel Talk universe. Peggy is here. Hello, Peggy. Thank you for allowing us to have another show. We appreciate it.
Oh, I'm happy to be here again.
And of course, me and Andre are here too, but we really don't matter, so it's fine. We'll just continue.
We're just here. We just exist.
Now, I won't talk about how I feel. I'm just going to point this out and say maybe the marketing got to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe the marketing got to me a little bit.
Oh! That's fantastic.
It is indeed fantastic.
So marketing, I saw a kid wearing the Galactus thing, the helmet popcorn thing. I saw there's a kid in our theater that was wearing it. So yeah. I was like, man, his parents love him.
Yes. I saw a couple people in the theater with it yesterday when I went as well, and I was like, those are very expensive.
They're $80 US. They're upwards of almost $100 Canadian, I believe, Andre. I believe you said it's 96 something Canadian.
And my theater, also in Canada, was selling them for the US price. Like, they were $80 Canadian.
Yeah, mine, they were charging a higher price. They were charging $96.99 in my theater. Right, that's what the price is outside it.
Last Emperor wants to know, so let's just give our quick first thoughts. How was the movie? Peggy, we'll start with you.
Fantastic. I have to say it. No, I really enjoyed it. I really did. Yeah.
Andre?
I need 4 more. But yeah, I loved it. I thought I really, in the days leading up, put myself in a place of trying to take out expectations of what everything, all the fan things we dreamed up over this last year with talking on here and everything. I tried to put all of that out of my head going into this movie, just to say I'm going to enjoy what they give me, and I did, because they told it in such a great way.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic movie as well. I think it's a really good movie. It has its flaws, and again, I think it's very interesting that this movie comes out within weeks of Superman coming out, because I feel like there's, as I said during the Superman review, there's a lot of similarities between the things I didn't love about the Superman movie that I didn't truly love here. One of the biggest things that I'll say that the Fantastic Four did a little bit better than the Superman movie when it came to one of the flaws I had, and I still have this flaw, but I think Marvel at least attempted to address it. They gave us 5 to 10 minutes of, here's the quick backstory of what's gone on with these people. Like, I understand that, James Gunn gave us that wonderful, 300 years ago this happened, 3 years ago, and he did that really cool thing with the threes. I liked how they gave us this stock footage of them beforehand, of them having fun, introducing us to who these characters kind of were before, and then introducing us to what's gone on the last 4 years. Doing it in the style of an introduction to a television show, honoring them for 4 years of the Fantastic Four, I thought was really fun and interesting way to do it. It lets you tell an origin story at rapid pace without taking up half the movie retelling an origin story. And I think,
but it gave you more detail than Superman did. So
it did. Yeah. It gave us just enough. In my mind, it gave it just enough detail, as opposed to Superman, which I think everybody knows who Superman is and Lex Luthor. And we had that discussion during the Superman review. And I think everybody knows essentially who most of these characters are, with the exception of one huge glaring omission that they really should have done a better job with. And I think they did do a good job in the movie doing it. And that's Shalabal. But we'll get to her in a bit. But I think I think they did a really good job of addressing what I thought Superman lacked in, which is giving us even a crash course. If you know nothing about these characters, here's what happened. These people went to space, something happened, they came back changed.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good, interesting way to handle it.
And I think it's a good way to do it. But like, and I also said, like I said on Superman, I feel that Superman, like to me, if you just said comics to the random person that's not a comics fan and say, name me somebody from comics, I truly believe the two people that somebody are going to say to you is either Spider-Man or Superman, because everybody knows who those two are. Batman is probably third. The top two are Spider-Man and Superman are the two, you know what I mean? Like the top one from each universe, I guess.
Yeah.
Hello, Brett. Thank you for joining us. Brett is a fantastic fan of Ring Respect Radio. I know that Brett watches a lot of the shows about the Aussie stuff down there. So thank you for joining us. If you are in Australia at whatever crazy time this is, I know it's probably a crazy time over there if that's what's going on. Last Emperor also has another question. Would you say it's better than the Fantastic Four 2005 film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very quick, yes.
I love the Fantastic Four 2005. There are a million issues with that movie, but the issues make it beautiful. The things that are wrong with that, like Ian Gruffold and Jessica Alba being a couple, like there's a million things wrong with that, but it's great. The one thing I think that this did. Oh, Brett is also the Last Emperor on Twitch. Okay.
All right, I made two signs for him then.
I think there was more fun in the 2005 thing. I think the quirky, fun things they did to make that a bit more of a comedy as opposed to this, which for a lot of this time, they tried to be very serious, which is an odd take of the Fantastic Four, because even Johnny, who's supposed to be the cocky comedic relief, really, really plays straight for most of this movie in my mind. And it's one of the things I love and hate about this, and we'll get into each character in a bit. But I think that's one of the things that I love about the 2005 film that I think this film lacked, is it lacked that little bit of fun. It lacked a little bit of fun. There was a lot of serious, there was a lot of good, but it lacked a little bit of just stupid fun for me.
I can see that, but I also, my biggest issue with the 2005 Fantastic Four movie is that it made the Fantastic Four too much of a related them too much to comedy, because yes, there is comedic elements to almost every superhero in comics. Fantastic Four has humor in it, isn't at the level of funny that movie is, and I think so many people have seen that their basis for Fantastic Four is from that movie, so they expect comedy from Fantastic Four, which in the comics, Johnny is humorous, but he's not outright funny, in my opinion. I think the Thing is actually the funniest thing out of that, but again, personal feelings there.
Maggie?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Johnny is always that dry humor. He's just sort of more sarcastic and like that teenage boy angsty sort of humor. I never really saw him as being overtly funny, but I could definitely see there was especially moments in this movie where he was like, yeah, Johnny likes space, Johnny likes girls, you know what I mean? Like, so it's more of a sarcasm sort of side.
Yeah, and I find it funny because I always go back and forth about whether or not, and we're going to go into characters now, and I'm going to start with Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, because for me this is the one that I can't nail down how I feel about Johnny Storm in this movie, because I adore the version Chris Evans plays in that 2005 and in the sequel. I think there's something great about the charismatic douchebag Johnny Storm played by Chris Evans. He doesn't care what Reed says. He doesn't care about anything. He wants to make money and screw girls. And that was pretty much the entirety of what Johnny Storm wanted to do. And he's so funny doing it. And like the thing with Thing being the leader of the team and the pilot, and then not being able to be in that other movie. And he's like, the look on your asshole, old commander's face when he finds out that you outrank him now. There's just so much fun in that. Joseph Quinn plays such a different version of Johnny Storm that I hated in the beginning, and the more I watch the movie, the more I kind of fall in love with this character because he's so earnest. He feels like the most real. He feels like the most real male character in this movie because we'll get to the most real and like heartwarming character in a bit because she is the star of this movie. But I think that there's so much good with the Joseph Quinn Human Torch in this. Peggy, what about you?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think very similarly, he felt, as someone who has a younger brother, I was very interested in how he played Johnny because he did play it like the earnest younger brother who wanted to prove that he was worthy of everything, but also protect his older sister. And I really felt that like on a personal level. And I thought that Joseph Quinn did an excellent job of portraying that side of Johnny versus just the cocky young, like college bro.
Andre.
Like I really liked him in this movie because I feel like if you actually like look at all like the older Fantastic Four stuff, like Johnny is very much a guy who, yeah, he sues his little brother, but you see in the comics, and you saw it in this movie along with the devotion he kind of has to protecting his sister, trying to live up to Reed in how he like, because he's talking about the spacesuits and wants to decipher things so he can show that he's smart like Reed and things like that. That is, I think, more of an early Fantastic Four version of Johnny Storm. I think the version that Chris Evans played came from 80s, 90s kind of, but they took Johnny Storm to be a kind of the younger, cooler direction as with this is kind of that classic. And again, I think that's almost, and I think it's time period too. The dude, bro, if you think about the time period this was existing, is in an alternate 1960s, right?
1964.
Yeah, I thought it was 65. Because 61 is when they went to space. 61 is when they went to space, and this is 4 years later, right?
Wikipedia says that it is a fictional representation of Manhattan in 1964.
Okay, I thought it was because everything I've been watching has said 65. Whatever it
is. I mean, Wikipedia is the greatest source because anybody can say what they want on it.
So yeah, but whatever it is, mid 1960s, the dude, bro, really, as we know, a dude, bro, that Chris Evans played doesn't exist in the same way in 1960s. If you think about it, I know that dude, bro, technically did exist in that world. We know that frat boy, 60s frat boy.
I was saying Mad Men set in slightly later, but the same general.
But again, it's still the gentleman era, kind of the hippie era, kind of coming. Still has yet to come really take over into the world. This is more. He kind of plays it more of the gentleman side. Well, he is technically a womanizer. He's kind of being portrayed. I like the way he does it, and I like the way he plays it. Because again, he comes off, and then the way they evolve him into like almost falling in love with Shia LaBeouf in a way. I really like the way they kind of portray that in this movie. You get a more earnest version of Johnny Storm. And don't get me wrong, I love Chris Evans' version. That will always be kind of that one that will always sit in my brain. But I love this version. I think he plays it such earnestly.
It is in interviews, Matt Shankman noted that Quinn and Kevin Feige and Shankman talked at length about the previous portrayals of Johnny Storm and how this would not be considered sexy by modern audiences. And Quinn said he wanted his version to be less callous with other people's feelings and more self-aware about the attention-seeking behavior and bravado that this Johnny Storm gets. And they nailed that.
Which is sexier, to be fair.
Which I agree. I mean, obviously for me, it does nothing for me, but that's fine.
I mean, to me, like Johnny Storm was never smart, and he was smart in this movie. He was smart.
He figured out an entire alien language off of 3 words, which is a miracle.
But you gotta disagree with that because Johnny Storm is not a stupid person. If you even go into the 2005 movie, the dude was a pilot. Like you can't.
Yes, but
you
there's
can't be a pilot
pilots.
without being stupid. Like
There's
you
pilot
want
smart.
the training.
There's pilot smart, and I'm gonna figure out an alien language in 2 weeks.
I get
There's
it.
a difference between being smart and not being not stupid. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know,
I get
or portraying, you know, this, I don't care about anything. I don't care about anything, you know, don't care about anyone. It's like, you know, versus actually trying to do something good.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about Richie Jimovich. I mean, Evan Ross Baccarat playing the Thing.
I couldn't separate them.
Which essentially should have been the same person, because he's great in The Bear from everything I've heard and read.
Yes.
I've never seen an episode of it. I hear he's great. What I will say is he plays a very fun version of the Thing that we've never seen. He has a mix of the Michael Chiklis, 2005, 2000, the redone, the other one that they did in, what is it, Sunrise and Silver Surfers, 2007 or 2008, I believe.
7, yeah.
Because that's where he has his love interest, and I think that they alluded to a little bit of that here. I love this version of the Thing. He's not super depressed, which is like always the Thing. It's like sad Hulk music plays every time the Thing's on screen, because he's just horrified about who he is. I love how they made this a universe where people love and respect and care for the Thing. An old man Thing is something I'll never forget. It's better than Korg. Old man Thing with like the bearded rock look that he has at the end of this movie is so good, and I hope they never have him shave that off, because it gave such, for a CGI character that's made of rocks, for him to have a distinct change in look with changing essentially nothing is top tier work by this graphics design team.
And I loved too, because he has the very prominent like lines across his forehead. They're like clearly old man eyebrows when you see it with the beard, right? Like, yeah. But I think
it gave me Old Man Logan like vibe. It gave me that Old Man Logan vibes. And if you've ever seen the Old Man Logan comics or even watched the Logan movie, you get the idea of the vibe that they were going for with that look.
Yeah. And as someone who loves the Bear, he was basically Richie. Like, you know, and I didn't hate it. Like, I thought he was great.
It's fun to pull in something that he's comfortable with. Yeah. Like, I think because he's essentially only a voice actor in this, and by the way, Hulk, yes, you definitely do need to see this. We're not going to go super spoiler, but we are going to talk spoilers as we go on. But we're kind of just going to generic spoilers for now, you know, but we're not going to talk too much about the plot until we get toward the end.
I really like, again, I have not watched The Bear yet. It's kind of a show I'm kind of hoping it's a show I like. I have shows that I watch with my mom, and we're about to finish Righteous Gemstone, which is over now. I'm thinking of talking to her about it. I don't know if she's seen it yet, so maybe make this our next show, because there's multiple seasons of it. So I'm kind of happy I didn't, because I know I've talked to a few people that are big fans of The Bear, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I kept seeing that character," and I'm so glad, because I don't think he might have been in stuff I've seen before, but I don't know him from anything personally. I think that's the best, and it's the reason I kind of like it's one of the few things I like about 2015 is that I didn't really know that dude. I think he did Jumper is the only other movie I knew him from, and his thing I didn't lose the character. I didn't lose myself in the actor. You know what I mean? Even the portrayals. So I love the way he portray him, and like just how he's still a neighborhood guy when he's walking down there doing the Action Comics lift the car thing with the kids,
goofing around with the kids. Yeah, that was great.
And that girl is not actually the love his current love interest. That's a different one. That's Rachel versus Alicia.
It's not the same one. But ironically,
it's one of his.
It's the name. It's honestly the name of his mother too, which I thought was interesting that they threw that in there as a little thing to go on with this. But no, I thought he was great. I thought he did all the things he needed to do. The way he knows Sue, like that scene at the dinner table in the beginning of the movie, the way he just reads her and calls her out on what she's trying to hide, because Johnny's oblivious. Johnny's like, whatever, doing his own world, and you can see
Except
they're
that he
just
said it
sitting there
wasn't
reading.
Sue. He said that he read it off Reed.
Yeah, but it's I think it's because of the way that Reed's acting, because of how Sue's acting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because he reads her, and then he reads her, then he looks to read, and he reads panic, and he knows that Reed doesn't panic.
Have you seen your husband's face? Like, that was such a good line.
Speaking of the star of this movie, let's go ahead and talk in depth about
Herbie. No, I'm kidding.
I loved Herbie, but let's give this woman her due, because I shit a lot on this casting when we talked about this casting. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm was perfection.
Mm-hmm.
The way she acted in this movie, for a woman who literally created world peace, she brokered world peace, and yet still feels like the most relatable person in this entire movie. There's something amazing about a script if that's the thing you can do.
She's almost brokered world peace because Latveria was not there.
We'll get to Latveria later, but yes, but global demilitarization is what they've said that she's done.
Also, she united the underworld and the overworld with Moman, so important stuff.
That was pretty good. Subterranea being brought into the world. I can't wait to talk about him.
I wish we would have cut him for John Malkovich as opposed to cutting it the other way around. See that douchebag on my TV screen.
So good.
But no, back to the star of this movie. Peggy, I really need to get your thoughts on the emotionality of the story between Sue Storm and how she evolves. Because she's the only character in this movie that evolves from beginning to end.
So, remember when I talked about Superman, how I was like, Superman made me cry? Sue Storm made me cry. Not Fantastic Four, just her. But this movie, from the beginning right through the end, every time she was on the screen, I just could not look away. And yeah, I didn't know how I felt about the casting for this, but I don't know if they could have picked a better person now that I've seen the movie. She was just, I don't want to give too many things away to anybody who's watching that doesn't want spoilers, but the whole way through it, everything she did, I was like, yep, I understand that. I get that. And I don't know if it's because I'm a woman of a certain age or what, but I was just like, yeah, absolutely. I would not do that either. No, I would 100% do that. Like, I totally got her. Every time I saw her on the screen doing something, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to do this in a way that's non-spoilery, but also addresses what Peggy's trying to talk about, because I think I can do this. There's a scene in the ending of the second act, beginning of the third act, where people are asking specific questions about what's going on and what needs to happen. And Reed doesn't go answer these questions. Ben doesn't go answer these questions. Johnny doesn't go answer these questions. Sue walks out there with Franklin. And again, we all know based on the marketing that Franklin, which is in this movie, not a spoiler. We see her go out there with Franklin, and she gives the most incredible, heartfelt monologue that this movie needed. Mm-hmm. And I missed it hearing her talk in this scene. And it's the most relatable that a comic book character has felt for me since maybe Endgame Peter Parker. Endgame Peter Parker with the death of Tony Stark. She figured it out, and it's the writing, it's the acting, it's the music underneath, it's everything involved in this was utter perfection in this scene. The only thing, and I'll say this because I saw MT say it, and I think he's right. Before this scene, there could have been a little bit more friction between the people who disagreed with their choice and them that would have heightened this scene just enough to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, because just when they were starting to be a little antsy, I guess, at their decision to, the way they handled it, they sort of cut away and they walked away from the mic, and you don't really get that whole conflict that I thought would have made this more appropriate or more relatable, I think, or more impactful, I guess is the word I want to say.
Yeah, because her character, dude, the way she goes about it, and this, not to sound creepy, but her look, she is like, for the comics, from pretty much any version of the comics you look at, Vanessa Kirby matches Sue Storm. Like, again, she has the perfect look for this. Just the way she carries herself throughout the movie. You again, there's some movies you watch where people are playing expecting mothers and stuff, and you just go, okay, but you don't feel that connection. I felt her connection to her child. You could see how it truly is affecting her. I think just absolute perfection in what she's doing here, because she's just so earnest, and it just
I think because she's quiet and strong as well, which really, I think, came across really, really well in this movie. She came across as being like the dutiful 1960s housewife in some respects, but also clearly she's a political force of nature. Do you know what I mean? So she's clearly powerful in her subtle way of bringing everything across.
Yeah, and she's that power between her and Reed, where Reed is very I do the things that need to be done, versus Sue, who kind of looks at the whole situation in every way and sees an emotionality as opposed to a logic.
It was very much the heart and the head dynamic that you see there between the two of them.
And then, of course, we do have the Reed Richards, which is Pedro Pascal, who is fine. Like, let's just, he's fine. I still don't look at him and see Reed Richards. I still don't feel like he's Reed Richards. I get what they were going for. I liked what he did here. I would like to see a little less of Daddy Pedro in the thing, because God, we have enough of him. Materialist.
This is his third movie in July to be in theaters. So
because he had the Materialist and
the one with the chick that's hooking people up.
No, that's Materialist, isn't it?
Is that
that's Materialist, but he also has Eddington or Edgington or something.
Oh yeah, he's in Eddington. I forgot about that.
I didn't know what that one was.
I'm curious what you didn't see in him that you say he doesn't represent Reed to you.
All right, so my favorite Reed Richards is the John Krasinski Reed Richards. There's something about John Krasinski's Reed Richards is kind of the top. Again, we didn't get a lot of it, but I feel like there was a lot of. Yes, he was in Game of Thrones. He's been in everything. He was in Buffy. Like if it exists, he's probably in it somewhere.
I would like more Pedro, but that's beside the point.
That's besides the point. No, I don't get the smartest man in the world vibe from the Pedro Pascal version. Like, I understand they gave him all the smartest man in the world vibe, but like, it doesn't correlate. He's in Game of Thrones. He's the Mandalorian. He's Joel from the not the Walking Dead, the other zombie
The
film,
Last of Us. Yeah.
Like, he's all of those things. Also, he's a bit too sexy to be Reed Richards. He's a bit too good looking. He's a bit too perfect. I like my Reed Richards to be a bit off-putting. Like I said, John Krasinski. Just not quite Hollywood.
No.
I'm like,
John
more
John Krasinski is more of a more of a heartthrob than Pedro Pascal.
No, God, no.
Yes.
John Krasinski.
Yes.
John Krasinski is an everybody man. Papa Pedro is a
no,
very
he is
different
not.
thing.
He what you watch The Office. He sticks out like a sore goddamn thumb. He does not belong.
Well, yeah, in The Office, apparently all of them.
And that's a world of an everyman. He does not belong. John Krasinski is not an everyman. He is the opposite of that. But I said this when we've talked about when he was casted and everything, that I was worried about Pedro Pascal. Yeah. That I was worried about watching him. I'm the opposite side of you. He had me lost in Reed Richards. Yes. I believed every piece of what he did. It was the one thing I was worried about going in this movie is that I'm going to be watching Pedro Pascal play a smart guy. I like just the way the nervousness, the paranoia factor that he has in him, and the worry about the world. That is exactly what the smartest man in the world would be like.
He's very hyper focused on everything that he's doing at any time. And I think that came across exactly as someone who is so smart that they can't like empathize with people because they're just so, everything is objective. Everything is black and white, right and wrong.
And you're saying nobody else evolved. This man evolved because when he's sitting there with his son saying, I've been looking inside for everything to be wrong with you, but now I'm going to stop because I'm going to let you tell me. That is a pure evolution of a person that he has finally realized that he can't search out for every answer. He has to, in some ways, he learns he has to step back and let the answers come to him. And he learns that when he's talking with his son there. That is one of the most beautiful moments in this movie. As a person who was very close with his father, oh God.
But at the end, like he has that scene, but then it goes back to him being after that essentially the same that he was before that. Like Sue Storm's evolution, like it's not even so much an evolution as it is just this wonderful story of her character from beginning to end, and she's the vessel in which we see this movie. And I just wish there would have been more paid attention to the rest of them to give us more. But then again, if we do that, we don't get this movie in and out in an hour 55, which I think is another Marvel thing where they didn't want another 2.5 hour movie because they feel like their movies are too long as it is.
To me, the character that got shortchanged most in this movie is the Thing. I feel like the other three got good story, got good evolution. I feel like, and I think Ben got a lot in this movie. Don't get me wrong, but he's the only one that, because I feel like the other three just like their story tracks so well in this movie.
I saw that the Thing or Ben had some scenes cut as well, so I think that might have made a difference when you look at the final cut too.
Yeah,
possibly. Yeah,
the villain who we saw the most of, and we'll get to the villain of the movie, but we'll go with the villain we saw most of. Julia Garner's portrayal of Shalabal, the Silver Surfer. I love it. I thought it was different. I thought it was unique. And I like how with Johnny, they give us a bit of backstory into her character. But again, I think they do exactly what they need to do with her, which is she's a herald. She doesn't need a lot of story. She just needs to show up, herald Galactus, and then bring on the big man.
Yeah.
Also, I think she's very sympathetic in this movie, more so than I thought I would get from the Silver Surfer character. When I knew that Silver Surfer was in it, I didn't expect to sort of feel bad for them.
Yep.
I was gonna say, she said in interviews, and that like the way the character is portrayed, she heralds Galactus, but everything she says after is her character her trying to be sympathetic to the people she's doomed to die, right? So I just. The character, I think, was exactly what you need to be, because I feel like Rise of the Silver Surfer, it was too much of Silver Surfer. It was that Silver Surfer was too much.
Yeah, there was too much Norrin Rad in the evolution of that story. I did like the constant thing that Johnny questioning about the board because of the.
I was just going to say, most important is that the board is not part of her.
Yeah, Johnny wanted us to
So
make
good.
sure that we actually got something from Joseph Quinn telling us to make sure we mentioned that she and the board are different things. They are not the same. No, I thought she did a really good job. And then, of course, there is, like I said, there's a bunch of little people that we'll talk about at the end. But then there's the big guy. There's
The big bad.
Galactus.
Yeah.
Ralph Ineson's Galactus. Mwah! Now, that's going to be a take, because a lot of people are going to say, how dare you say that Galactus was done perfectly? I'll say that with the end of this movie and the way that the third act wraps up, I think Galactus is done perfectly, because of the fact that it does exactly what it needs to do to end the movie.
Yes.
But it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't prohibit storytelling.
Yes.
It leaves us wanting more. It leaves us in a place of infinite growth.
The is he, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, it's the way you look at this character. It's like he's a cosmic entity that existed as long as he's older than the universe, because he's from the previous universe. So you look at this character of, you can't destroy this character. Like, you know what I mean? This is a cosmic threat. This is, you know what I mean? I can understand. I get destroying the birth of an Eternal. That's one thing, but you can't destroying a cosmic being of this level. It doesn't make sense. So them having to find another way to get rid of this because and how they do it is, I think, is just absolutely the most logical way you do it for a character of this level, which allows this character to continue to exist within this universe. And I feel that we could see this character do some great stuff in the future, and but it's done in such a smart way, so it's not to be just like a stupid, like, oh, we got rid of the bad guy. It's like, no, it was earned. It was a truly great way to do it.
Yeah. I also want to talk about the idea of Galactus itself. He is not a giant space cloud. He is an truly massive being that, while sitting on his throne, they only came up to about his ankle when they were standing in front of him. And then, of course, and then using the powers that he has, the sizing, shrinking powers, to be able to become small enough to make sense on screen and to be in the atmosphere and in the world, but also to be big enough that he poses a galactic threat to this world, I think was sensational. He looked great. I thought Ralph Ineson's voice coming out of Galactus was everything it needed to be. They did a great job with the dubbing. They did a great job bringing him through. Ta-2 looked fantastic. The ship that he does, they don't mention the name here, but in the comics it is obviously known as Ta-2. So we have all of that here. I think there's just so much good shit in this with Galactus that people are hating on it because of the fact of how they defeat him in this movie. But I feel like it's good. I feel like they did everything right.
They didn't marvelize the villain. For one,
they did not kill a villain after their first movie.
Yeah, that's the best feeling I have of this movie, is the fact that they didn't marvelize the villain. They left the villain as an ability to be this cosmic threat forever. Again, a cosmic being isn't going to be destroyed by the Fantastic Four. I don't care what you're saying. This is a being on another level. There's a way to destroy him, but that way doesn't really fit for the other character that it would destroy in the end. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a... I feel like it's a perfect way for this character to be defeated in this movie.
Yeah. Of course, for other characters who had short periods on screen who we don't get a whole lot out of, Paul Walter Hauser playing Moleman, Harvey Elder.
Yes, MLW superstar Paul Walter Hauser. Get it right.
Douchebag actor Paul Walker Hauser. Natasha Lyonne returns to the Marvel Universe after her What If things to go ahead and portray Rachel Rosman, who is Ben's love interest in this movie.
I was so sad she didn't have feathers.
I thought she was fine here. Mark Geddes plays Ted Gilbert, who is a version of Ed Sullivan, because that would have been the comparison that you would have made in the 60s. Sarah Niles plays Lynn Nichols, who's the CEO, apparently, of the future. I never knew what her actual job was. She just kind of showed up when they needed her to say stuff, and then she walked off screen.
Like, I looked
is she
at
just
her
a PR person? Like, who is she?
I thought she was like this, like Sue's assistant is what I looked at her as. Because again, everything she kind of does,
because she's the
fan support assistant. That's what she kind of feels like to me. But yeah, it makes sense. She's the CEO because yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Matthew Wood plays Herbie, which is a humanoid experimental robot B-type integrated electronics.
Yeah.
He is, for those that don't know what Herbie is a robot for Reed Richards. He was cast in the animated cartoon during, I believe, the second season because they didn't have access to Johnny Storm at that point because they optioned out Johnny Storm for something different. So they felt like they had to have a fourth character. In walks Herbie. The look of Herbie's really fun in this. I thought it was a really interesting way to do it, to do the 60s vibe.
Yeah.
And he's available as a popcorn maker at AMC theaters.
Yeah.
Where he holds a popcorn candy and a pop all in his body. Just
think about it. Herbie is voiced by the same man that is General Grievous. His voice is General Grievous.
Why you got to ruin
Matthew Wood.
It just makes me so happy. Makes me so happy that Herbie is essentially General Grievous.
So what you're saying is Herbie is part of the Star Wars world. Okay,
that's right. He's a Jedi.
So Herbie and Grogu now have to meet, and Grogu and
yes.
with Herbie being very confused why Pedro's wearing an iron helmet on. As he hears the talking, he goes, "Daddy, why are you wearing an iron helmet?" And Grogu's like, "What do you mean, Daddy? He's my daddy." And it's just 30 minutes of Herbie and Grogu arguing about
fighting. They just fight over Pedro.
Obviously, that we don't have numbers for this movie. The latest numbers are putting the estimates at just over $210 million for the weekend gross they're expecting for this
worldwide?
movie. It'll put it $210 million.
Worldwide.
Yes, worldwide.
Because I was reading some numbers that were the domestic numbers. So I was like, wait, that the domestic we're saying about 120 roughly. Just
it's 220 global and about another 120, and then 120 of that is expected to be the number for the domestic number. So it's really funny with this. The cinema score was an A-. Mm-hmm. The previews, so the Thursday showing, what they consider previews, got $24 million, which is more than the Superman ones. However, the first day numbers were 57, which is second highest to a Minecraft movie. But after all is said and done, it's gonna debut apparently roughly around 120 million, which means it'll be slightly under Superman. Which is, and again, I don't want to compare them to each other because they're obviously two different movies, two different movie studios. But it's nice to see that both these franchises can thrive in a 2-week span in the marketplace without, and it just should put to end superhero fatigue. If you tell a compelling story, people are going to show up. This is running about 15% higher than the Thunderbolts opening weekend did, and 15% higher than Captain America Captain America 4: Brave New World, and 4% higher than Thunderbolts, I believe, is the numbers I saw. I can't find those numbers now.
And again, like I truly, even when we get to Spider-Man next year, we get to Doomsday next December, we get to Secret Wars in 2027. I honestly don't think we see those $2 billion numbers coming back. Like last year, I see doing what Deadpool and Wolverine did with those movies, but I don't see Endgame level numbers, Infinity War level numbers happening again. I don't care what franchise, because again, the world is also very different in the world we live in now versus then, and not as many people go through. People wait. More people are willing to wait now than before to see these, because again, they know within 3 to 4 months we know see it on some kind of service. You'll
be able to have digital. Yeah, you'll be able to have digital within 3 to 4 months after the theatrical run is over, and within 5 or 6 months, if it's a Marvel movie, it'll be on Disney Plus. Yeah. I agree. But the numbers are still important, because if these movies don't break even and don't make money, again, and this goes back to something we had an argument about with, I believe it was Thunderbolts. I think me and Andre had this argument discussion where we talked about how
we've only had one argument, and you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, that one doesn't exist on the online area either anymore. I think if these movies don't make their money back, if these movies don't make these studios significant amounts of money, they're not going to keep making them at the level that we want them to be. If we want movies to look like the Fantastic Four, which was spectacular, if we want things to look like the James Gunn Superman movie, we're going to need to continue sinking $100-200 million into production. And if these movies can't make $500,000 in the theaters, the studios aren't going to recoup enough money, and we're going to slowly see the decline. Now, that being presented with the new way that Marvel is doing things, where we're going to get 1 to 2, maybe on a good year, 3 movies a year, and we're going to get 1 live action series with a couple other series. And these are all things that Kevin Feige talked about in the lead up to this movie in interviews. He did reiterate that we're going to be getting 1 to 2 movies a year now. So all of these movies that we hear that are in production, or they're looking to be greenlit for X movie, like Strange Academy. If Strange Academy is going to be a movie, we're not seeing that until 2028 or later, probably closer to 2030. Because if we're doing 1 to 2 movies a year, we've still got at least 1, if not 2 more Spider-Man movies after Brand New Day. Plus,
I think Kevin Feige, you also got to remember, being that it's a Sony co-production, I think Spider-Man is factored in. When there's a Spider-Man movie, I think it becomes a 3 movie a year thing versus a 2, because I think Spider-Man is the outlier. I think the Spider-Man would be the outlier of that.
Yeah, with the exception of 2026, which we will have 1 Marvel movie and Spider-Man. Because we'll have Brand New Day, which will be coming out in July, a year from now. And then we'll be getting, in December, Doomsday. Because apparently they're filming without a finished script.
Yeah,
which presents a whole bunch of new problems.
Rebecca Romaine said that?
Yes.
Rebecca Romaine confirmed something that had been leaked earlier this week by leakers, that the script that they're working with isn't a completed script.
I truly believe there is a finished script out there, but this is a script they're editing as they go. I don't think that there's... Marvel's not stupid enough to start a movie that doesn't have an ending. They have an ending. It's just they're changing things and they're adjusting things as it's going. I'm just glad they're doing it during the movie shoot itself, as opposed to doing reshoots. Yeah,
Daredevil.
We're doing it while we have the entire cast here filming the movie, as opposed to doing it with reshoots. STG. Andre with a hat. I'm conflicted.
STG.
It's my Avengers hat, man. I gotta put the Avengers hat on when we're talking big ass Marvel movies, man.
We have 2 post-credit scenes. Only one of them matter. So if after you see the mid-credit scene, you can honestly just leave if you don't really care. The second one is basically just like a little bit of the earlier days cartoon. I believe it's one of the earlier ones. It's not the 90s cartoon. I believe it's even earlier.
Well, no, this is the cartoon they made for the movie.
Yeah.
This isn't even like it's.
I thought it was rehashed stuff from that they made way back in. It's brand new.
It's inspired by the '67 cartoon. I think it's the late '60s cartoon, but this is all created now. This is all new stuff. Like Yeah.
Still not really relevant to anything if you miss it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No,
If
this
you
is
leave-
where you get your gray ghost. This is where red ghost, whatever. This is where you get him. That's a red ghost.
Yeah.
Gray ghost.
Which is sad because John Malkovich filmed things for this movie and they couldn't bother to put it in there.
Yeah,
But
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 they
honestly,
showed the monkeys.
they show one monkey getting kicked. That's
Yeah,
it.
you could have just shown. Anyways,
They should have shown
Anyhow.
him and a monkey beside him, and that could have been it. You didn't even have to have a line.
Yeah,
But,
and then of
yeah.
course we have the mid credit scene, which is the important one. Sue's looking for a new book for Franklin. This is, I believe, 4 years later.
Yes.
Which
Must be
obvious
69, I think. is
yeah,
what-
because it's
is what it was
Fantastic
reporting.
Four, so it's
Mhm.
4 years later. And a green hooded figure is talking to Franklin, and Franklin is touching his face.
And
Off-
and you can see
you can't see.
him holding the mask. You can see him holding the Doom mask.
Yeah.
Ah,
This was, we have confirmed from Matt Shankman, this was filmed on set of Avengers Doomsday. That means that this is indeed Robert Downey Jr. in this scene.
Okay.
Matt Shankman confirmed that he did not direct this, that it was directed by the Russos, which means it was directed like the Thunderbolt scene. It was something that was done with the team that's working on Doomsday. So it's not confirmed that it's Robert Downey Jr. in there. It could have been a stand-in.
Mhm.
I'm going to assume if you have RDJ on set for Doomsday, you might as well use him for this.
again, I don't think it needs to be RDJ actually in the hood, but it's representing RDJ's Victor Von Doom.
Dr. Doom.
Yeah, it's not him, but it's his Doom. But it might not. I feel like it's some random dude they grabbed off set to be a random stand-in. They were like, "Go kneel in this hood so we can get this shot with the kid while we're filming RDJ on the main set."
All right. Well, to end this show, before we get to our social media shout outs and stuff, Andre, Peggy, I don't know if you guys have looked at this. It's our Rotten Tomatoes game because we don't have, obviously, we talked about the box office, so we know that.
I don't remember.
I haven't
haven't
looked at
looked
it.
at them.
315 critics have reviewed this movie on Rotten Tomatoes. What is the Rotten Tomatoes percentage?
I saw a number on Friday, but I don't know if it's still there.
83. I'm going to go with
80.
83.
Okay.
I think I remember 89. I think
88 was the original number that I saw as of the Thursday previews. It has actually gone down from what I remember it at. It is down to 87,
okay,
which is
but
still
really good.
really good score, almost 90% from critics. Which
Yeah,
is
that's what I figure for critics. They're usually harder on them, right? So
Yeah,
over 10,000 plus very verified reviews on the popcorn meter for this movie. What are we thinking, guys?
I usually do 10 over my critic, so I'm going to go with 93.
Andre?
I'm gonna go 94.
Peggy is right on at 93.
Damn it! I tried to price this later.
Yeah, you did that.
I win both showcases. Both.
You do win both showcases. To put in perspective with the other Fantastic Four movies, if I can do some quick typing. Here we go. 2015, 2005, 2007. All right, 2005. 28% from 213 critics and 45% from 250,000 plus reviews for the 2005 version.
Yikes.
I feel
You
like
see-
that's
That feels
That's rough.
review bomby, like to me.
that's later year review bombing. I feel
That movie got a sequel, which got 37% from 171 reviewers and 51% from 250,000 plus fans.
That also doesn't feel right.
it doesn't deserve to be higher than the first one because the first one is a far better movie.
Oh, but wait, there's more. Josh Trank's 2015 with Michael B. Jordan playing Johnny Storm, which has all sorts of issues just because of obvious reasons. 9% from the critics at 259 critics. 18% from 100,000 plus reviews by the fans.
That's yeah. Not
I
great.
can't argue with those numbers. Like
They all feel very, very low. But as someone who's
I won't argue.
Yeah,
I won't argue with 2015 because that movie is. I've watched it twice. I watched it in theaters the same day I watched Ant-Man. I never thought I would be coming out of the theaters going Ant-Man was a better movie. Just again by feeling of characters and everything. And then I watched it again when it was on a home video, and I'm like, this is really bad because I really like Miles Teller. I like Kate O'Hara. I like Michael B. Jordan. I'm a fan of Trank's movie Chronicle. And I remember in the lead up to that Fantastic Four movie, listening to Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman show, and he had Josh Trank on for a 4-part interview that he never ended up releasing the 4th part because it was all about the production stuff of Fantastic Four. And after the movie came out and all the shit that happened, Trank asked him not to release that episode. And he even said in one of the in the 3rd episode that he filmed the movie, but again, that was a movie where the people came in and did reshoots without him. That movie does not work in any which way. I don't think his would have been much better, but I would have liked to see just his story, honestly.
Also, just to throw it out there, this is Pedro Pascal's highest reviewed movie of the summer, with The Materialist getting 78 and Eddington getting 68.
The fuck is Eddington?
Miss Peggy. Eddington is another A24 movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Before we go and do all this stuff, I know this is Marvel talk, but have you seen the trailer for Peacemaker?
I have. It looks great. We are hoping to, once me and Andre can figure a way that I can watch this, we're going to go ahead and try to do that.
Yeah, San Diego Comic-Con weekend. There was a lot of stuff that came out, but that was the one thing that really stuck in my head. I got a chance to watch that today, so it was great. So, all right. So where you can find me, I guess, _Ophelia_Payne on most socials, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. And I am over on the Hive doing some stuff on the Substack and doing some watch-alongs for the pay-per-views and potentially some watch-alongs for the weekly TV shows coming up soon as well.
Ooh. Our friends at the Hive, we greatly appreciate them loaning you out to us to go ahead and do the show on a weekly basis, as you are the host of our show. Andre, I can't find.
Just go to the pop spot. I'm at the top pop spot. All right, second one on pop spot. Pops up. Second one, third one pops up. There you go. Yeah, you can find me on X and Blue Sky at That Canada Guy, TikTok, Instagram, Threads at That Canada Dude. You can find me right here on OLE where I do this show with Ed and Peggy, and you can find me on Sundays doing POV with Mark and Bobby, and Ed returning in the fall for the real football that you throw with your hands. But yeah, and then you can find me over on Backbreaker Video where I'm doing my show, The Pop Spot, with my boy AWS, where we review all the local independent wrestling shows that we go to. We just dropped an episode today that features me hanging out while AWS goes through the 2 shows that he attended at K-Days here in Edmonton, the Slam Fest event for Top Talent Pro Wrestling. I just reacted to the stuff he's talking to me because I couldn't make it out to either day.
Of course, you can find me at all these wonderful places, including Enterprise 12584 on Twitter. Every week I co-host my Taking Over show with Asher Lazaro. We talk all things NXT as we're on the road to Heatwave. And oh boy, there's an old editorial from this week's episode on the first 15 or so minutes of the Taking Over, where I talk about Slammiversary and
it was a good one. I'm just gonna say
I'm not very kind to Slammiversary. I tried to be as kind as I possibly could and gave them as many the benefit of the doubt as I could, but I had issues and concerns coming out of that show. You can of course find me here with Andre, and as often as we can, the host of Marvel Talk, Peggy, as we talk all things Marvel based. We've got more shows coming up. We're going to be getting back to the MCU Rebound episodes. We've got Eyes of Wakanda coming up next month. When we're doing that all in one, we are going to be doing, we got Wonder Man coming up at the end of the year as well. So all kinds of good stuff coming. We're going to find Zombies. Marvel Zombies in October. We got some ideas for some specialty shows too throughout the rest of this year, because we're starting to run through the MCU rebound, so we got some ideas of some other stuff that we can do. But we want to thank you all for joining us. Remember that you can find all of this content at our local establishment and all these wonderful places, including at Ole Podcast on almost all the social media places that you get your social media at. Thank you very much, Eric. We greatly appreciate it. Andre, thoughts on Godzilla versus TMNT?
I haven't seen it. I didn't. It's just been announced. I'm down. Let's go. Let's see I want to see the Turtles either fight or team up with Godzilla. I'm down with that.
All right, but that has been Marvel Talk. We will see you next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.